folk, it's a fishy Friday morning down here at the port of Newlyn. Quite a nice morning. Fish market has done its business for the week. Next market, of course, will be bank holiday coming up. Probably be Tuesday. It's coming Tuesday. Two of our gill netters here at the moment. I'm aboard one of them. That's the Silver Dawn, and behind me, as you can see, is the Ocean Pride. And both of them are changing gear over. Obviously, nets wear out, and they have to be renewed, as with a lot of the other equipment that's needed for the business of fishing. You can see that there's nets coming out of that trailer there and going into the stern, into the back of the Silver Dawn. It's quite quiet down, just to give you an idea, it's quite quiet down on the pier at the moment. Looking down the north pier, but here on the centre pier, there's quite a bit of activity down there. Some of our visiting boats, all of our visiting Scotsmen are away at the moment. They've done their landing and they're back out to the Western Lakes. So we're on the stern of the Silver Dawn at the moment, and we'll go through to the below me where I'm standing at the moment, into the net pens where these nets are stored. These are trammel nets going aboard at the moment. This time of the year fishing does get a little quieter after the breeding season, just about this time of the year, towards the middle of the summer, and there'll be a couple of weeks probably of quieter, whereas they change the nets over for a different type of fishing. These will be fishing mainly for monkfish, but they will have a certain amount of hake nets and whitefish nets aboard as well. Well, I've just come down through from the top deck above the net pounds into the wheelhouse, or what quite different wheelhouses now to what they used to be, of course. They're quite technically well handled at the moment. There's all the screens up here, the fish finders, the sat navs, the GPSs, various screens which will show all parts of the boat. The skipper will be here, as in this case Tristan Trenery will be there, sat in there in the helm, and he will be looking at all these screens. There's a couple there you can see down into the engine room, and there's the nets in the top left hand corner going down into the fish bins, just about where I was standing. So they'll be keeping, for safety reasons of course, he would need to keep his eye on what's going on all around the boat, and that gives him access to each deck level and what the process would be. He would need to keep his eye on when the nets are being hauled, when to slow the nets down and when to speed them up a little bit, depends on what fish is in, or if they bring an obstacle up that they don't want, they need to stop the winch, the big winch down below operating, which we'll see. Wheelhouses, well, they don't have such a thing as a wheel nowadays. That's where one would have been, and that's where the emergency wheel would be, I would think, in this vessel, which will be close at hand. But like I say, here's all the layout of the harbour there in the GPSs, and there's where all the skipper's records and books will be taken, and recording all the fish and various things around the vessel. Okay, let's go down into the net. Okay folks, it's going to be very noisy down here. They've got the generator running, but we're down in the fish pound at the moment, and there's the two of the crew members. The nets are coming in, the ones we saw in the earlier video, are coming in through the gaps in the stern there, and the mechanisms whizzing about above my head. We'll have to be careful. And these are the net pans that the nets are stored in, and this is where they're shot from. This is where the nets are set from when the vessel is putting their nets out. I hope you can hear, it's quite noisy. And then they're bringing the nets in, or they will be in a minute at the end of this rope. And as I say, these are the trammel nets that they're putting in at the moment, mainly for monkfish, but which have quite a wider mesh than the hake and whitefish would have. I don't want to be getting in their way, so I'm going to make this one a little bit brief. So they're down on the working deck. That's below the top shelter deck, and this is where the net would go. Normally, I'm working backwards here, but this is where the net would normally go out to be stored after it had been hauled. So we'll work backwards, and the fish would come in through that gap there. As I say, monitored from the skipper who would be up above. There's cameras above my head, and that will be showing the skippers, the fish coming in over the nets. The nets would come in over that big Spencer Carter, big hauler there, and go into the fish room here, where it will be all sorted, gutted, cleaned, and stored away. The hake, the pollock, the cod, whatever's coming up in the net would go down through that hole there. That lid would lift up and it would go down through there. The nets would run along up through the tube once it's empty to go out through that gap, up through there, underneath the wheelhouse, into that deck there at the back that we saw. So this is the actual deck that most of the work would be going on. All this lot, of course, is hydraulic, and there's quite a hive of activity when things are happening down here. The gutting would be done over there, the fish would be gutted over there, and then the gut would go out through that gap, down through that hole down there at the side of the boat, above water level of course, and that's where all the seagulls and the gannets and everything would be waiting outside, out in the western approaches to be fed with the gut area. So, there we go. This is down on the working deck. Hopefully you can hear above the noise of the generator. We'll move on elsewhere at the moment. Okay, yes, well, the gill netters. This is a gill netter in the Silver Dawn, as we have quite a few of them here, and they all work on the same process. These on the sides here, these are anchors which would hold the net down. The gill net is like a long curtain supported by it's probably I can't say exactly, a couple of meters, maybe 3 meters off the seabed. So it's way down on the seabed and held down by anchors. One long length of net, not necessarily one piece. They'll shoot in different pieces, long lengths in different areas that they favour at the time, and they're held down by anchors. And as I say, this is where the net goes back into the net room that we saw out through there. Just walking through to the cabin area. We're in the galley here at the moment, and this would be the galley of the Silver Dawn, where the guys would get together when they've got the spare time, or rest time basically, and there's all the shiny pots and pans on the, all looked after and kept, all the stainless steel around, obviously less maintenance, and there's the TV up there to keep your eyes on, a bit of rugby, football, cricket, or whatever they're into, and that's our area. We won't invade their privacy too much by going down into their cabins and what have you. But those are down at the bottom of the steps down there, and that's the area down there. There's the heads. Heads, yes, aboard ship they're called heads. You probably class them as toilets, but there you go. Yes, another angle of the working deck. I'm up towards the bow of the boat at the moment, and there's the hauler where we were saying that the fish would come in on, and then they would be transferred over to the gutting area, down through there, and the washing. They get washed out, cleaned down to this tank down here, and down below here, which is far too heavy for me to lift at the moment. This is where the fish would be stored down in the refrigerated area, down into the fish room. Probably taking 300-400 boxes of fish down there. I'm not quite sure what Silver Dawn takes, but I would imagine around that mark. Lots of spare tackle here that's obviously used in the process of harvesting for fresh Cornish fish and shellfish that's available throughout the UK. We here in Newlyn, we send it, we go through the market of course, and then it travels up the motorways and what have you, and it's there the next afternoon after landing really, and then it's travelling overnight up to fishmongers and restaurants in areas that no doubt you are in the cities and the towns, at your local fishmonger or restaurant in cities and towns throughout the UK. So there we are in the fish room and in the working room, and we'll just have a move on some of the crew there. I think they're having a bit of a break at the moment for changing the nets over. Now we can see the nets whizzing in from the trailer out there, all repaired, and they're whizzing in through the process and going straight down into the net pan down there and being stacked away. Ocean Pride there behind us, doing much the same process that's going on here at the moment. So there we go. Just to conclude, we're now up on the foredeck of the Silver Dawn. That's the shelter deck, the top deck, the deck nearest the sky, and we'll just have a whiz around here and explain. This is the crane that's used mainly for landing the fish when she comes in up onto the side of the harbour there, and the fish will come up through that big door there, that door in the deck there, the dark blue door. That would lift, raise up, and that would give access to the fish room down below. So the crane and the fish would come up from the fish room, up through the work deck, up onto this deck, and then onto harbour side on this crane. Down there is the winch, the hauler that we saw earlier down on the working deck, and this section would raise up to give access to that. This arm along here supports the camera and the lights, so that the skipper in there, he can monitor where the hauler is down there, and obviously work the winch from up there. It can also be worked down from down on that work deck. So this would lift up, and the fish will go in through there, down into the workspace, and that's the camera on the end of it there, you can see. Right, along the deck, up there, there's so much stuff up there. You can see the life rafts up there. There's a couple of life rafts up there, and all the navigation equipment, sat navs, the VHFs, radios, so much stuff on them. It's even beyond me nowadays. I used to use a lot of it when I was yachting, but nothing like this. This is another world, really. But there you go. There's the all the direction finders and everything, aerials and antennas down along the deck. So down the other side, these are all the spare boxes. They're spare emergency hatches down there below me. And those are the marker buoys that they will have out when it's various places at the end of the net. Each net would be spaced out. We'll go off that one a little bit. Right? Time ran out. Okay, those are the marker buoys, and there'll also be DANs, bamboo poles with lights on them, and obviously AIS pickup points, and nets are, they won't set them all in one big place, they'll be scattered around in different places. Each length of net, I believe, is 100 yards, 100 meters long, but of course they do join them up, and then they're anchored down by those anchors that we saw earlier, down off the seabed. Hence, really, they're like a tennis net, really. Hence the reason that going very heavy spring tides, they can't work, because the strength of the tide and the speed of the tide will lift the nets. So that's why it's virtually impossible to work them on high spring tides. Some spring tides are not as high as that, and they are workable. So there we go, up on the deck of the Silver Dawn, and I hope this is